Peter Hook is a pioneering bassist who co-founded the legendary post-punk band Joy Division in 1976, just as punk was piercing British culture. Following the suicide of lead vocalist Ian Curtis, Hook and the remaining members formed New Order in 1980, crafting a somber new strain of electronic dance music. In 2007, Hook left the band in acrimonious circumstances. He's currently on tour with The Light, playing 2 complete albums back to back, both titled Substance. The first a compilation of Joy Division's singles, the second a collection of New Order's 12-inch mixes. Hook has also written a new book called Substance Inside New Order, a tell-all tale of the hate that tore them apart. In part 1 of this interview, Hooky opens up about performing the classic and often error-riddled recordings, the trials of taking Ian's place in front of the mic, with his son Jack plucking his dad's old bass lines, and living sober after decades of hedonism. Hey Peter, thanks so much for joining me. So you got a big tour of North America kicking off. What's the ratio between excitement and nervousness and, oh, I've done this all before?
That's an interesting one, that, because Lou Reed always said, when you don't get nervous, you shouldn't be doing it. So I suppose there is the expectation, which makes you nervous. I mean, the thing is that I don't particularly do easy things. Doing the LPs is difficult because you'll reach songs that generally, the reason New Order never played them live is because they're too difficult to play.
Which are some of the more difficult ones to play?
Well, if you look at the Joy Division ones that we're just doing for Substance, it'll be Auto-Suggestion. From Safety to Where, the ones that you don't play a lot. It was interesting, really, because the thing about the old recordings is that when you were recording to 2-inch tape, you couldn't change anything. So once you put the order down, if you'd got it wrong, you had to work around it. And actually, it gave the songs quite a uniqueness because you couldn't correct it. Nowadays, in computer world, everybody corrects everything all the time. So nothing ever has those happy accidents that all the best music, what you'd consider from the 60s to 2000, had. You know, it's only computers that have made everything very much the same and put it so that everything can be corrected. If you look at Blue Monday as a song, it's riddled with mistakes. It's got 6 bars, 8 bars, it's got 12 bars, sometimes it's got 11. You know, it's all these little things that make it the unique song and give it a unique atmosphere. And the thing is because we're playing the records, we put those in because that's what gives it the right, if you'll excuse the pun, atmosphere.
You've played quite a few of these songs before over the years. Does your relationship with the songs change over the years? Some that you connect with more than others?
Well, you know, the strange thing about playing the albums, as we are, is that you tend to leave a lot of them behind when quickly. So my problem before was that, say, I hadn't played the songs off Movement for a lot of songs off Movement for 30 years, 25 years. And then you get Movement back and you love it. And then you move on to Power, Corruption and Lies or Low Life and Brotherhood, and Movement's gone again. So I've got to wait for Movement to come round again, you know, the next time round. So you sort of get the songs back and you get them back for a year and then they're gone again. So I suppose I'm in the lucky position of them all feeling new, like we were just playing Procession and Cries and Whispers earlier for the show, and you're going, oh wow, what a great song, we've not played it for ages, which in our land, Peter Hook and the Light land, is probably about a year, whereas before in New Order I hadn't played them for 20 odd years, and that seems really odd. You know, the sort of rut that we got into at the end of playing the same songs over and over again. I don't know. I can't even remember why. I can't even think that there could be an excuse to do it. But I mean, I must say that I'm absolutely delighted that New Order seem to show no signs of changing that. They play the same songs over and over again.
You've got your son Jack playing bass with you. I'm just curious, was that something he wanted to do, or did you sort of have to push him into it?
Well, no, when we started, I wasn't going to sing, and we had 2 or 3 singers lined up, and basically the internet terrorists scared them away. They were all so worried about A, the expectation, B, the fact that people were accusing them of, dishonouring Ian, stamping all over his grave or whatever, and it really frightened them, and they wouldn't do it. The 3 people I had lined up would not sing. They were scared. And it was Rowetta from the Happy Mondays, God bless her, who said to me, "You're going to have to do it." And it's as simple as that. And I was like, oh, no. Ian Curtis's shoes were very, very big shoes to fill. Luckily for me, Bernard's weren't as big. We're roughly the same size. So the thing is that once I was singing, I needed a bass player. Jack was in his last year at university. His mother will never forgive me for taking him away from that. But yeah, he'd been playing bass since he was 14. Our musical tastes are different. Jack likes heavier music, but he's grown to love Joy Division and New Order because he's had to. And he's very good at it. He's almost as good as me. He's just laughing in the background there.
Was it difficult for him?
No. I mean, the thing is that he'd watched me for years. He'd been backstage, he'd been on stage, he's got access to all my equipment. It was slightly different than when I started. When I started at 21, I'd never been in a group before. I'd never had access to anybody who had an instrument before or been in a group. I didn't know anything about it. The reason I was looking for those other 2 strings was I didn't even know a bass guitar existed. I'd never clocked that it was different. It was only when I bought one, that I thought, oh, why has this only got 4 strings and Barney's has got 6? It literally was like that. And the thing is that both Barney and I learnt to play from sight and feel. Both of us are self-taught musicians. I can't read music. I don't know if he can now, I've no idea. But no, it was never that interesting. The interesting bit about music to me was the writing and the playing, not the theory. I always felt that, as I say in my New Order book, actually, once we started analysing what we were doing, it actually stopped us doing it naturally.
So Jack had actually had more experience than you at this point.
He had learned, yes, and he also had music lessons in school. He famously got detention in school for telling the music teacher that his father was a successful musician who couldn't read, because the music teacher said that's impossible, you're in detention.
Blasphemy, right?
I know, I've been getting him into trouble ever since he was born. It's fantastic.
Now, Jack going on tour with his dad, that must ruin the whole rock and roll lifestyle for him, right?
No, I ruined it years ago, mate. I ruined it for everyone when I got sober. So I'm in the Steven Tyler school now of if I can't have fun, none of you are having fun, and that's it. So, yeah, it's just the way life is, isn't it? I'm a recovering alcoholic, so I have to be careful, and the people around me have to show respect to that. The interesting thing about New Order was that when I went back sober, there was no allowances made. And that was very difficult for a recovering alcoholic. But in my own group, of course, I can lay the law down and make sure that they don't have any fun whatsoever. So I'll work. It's weird because if you analyse the times, you analyse the 80s, you analyse the 90s, they were very different times to what they are now. I was watching a programme on the fashion industry last night about Vogue, the magazine, and they were all beavering away. They were all very hardworking. They were all very PC. And one of the old editors was saying the same thing. In the 80s and 90s, we were all off our rockers. No one gave a shit about work. It was just all about getting wasted. Nowadays, it's not like that. You would not survive in an office environment or in a work environment, even rock and roll. You look at Live Nation, man, they've made this business of ours very, very squeaky clean. It's changed completely. And I was talking to Midge Ure about it, funnily enough, and Midge Ure was saying that once the old rock icons start to disappear, the way that Bowie did, God rest his soul, he's saying that generation of musicians will never exist again. No one will go through the 80s and the 90s. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not too sure, because, the thing is that we may have been off our rockers, but we made some fantastic music. And I suppose that maybe someone needs to do a comparison. The noughties, very clean.
How does it feel playing the songs sober? Is it very different?
No, I was always sober. 99 times out of 100, I was always sober as New Order. It was always afterwards.
Oh, you waited till after the gig. That doesn't sound like
always.
A real alcoholic.
Well, no, I mean, hey, listen, we were juiced. We had enough juice to get us there. We just didn't go over the edge. You tend to go over the edge. I mean, I was reading the Motley Crue book, and even, strangely, Motley Crue were the same. They all had enough to keep them up there, but they were relatively sane. Then afterwards, everyone would go berserk. And then you sort of have a hangover for the gig, if you like, and you get through it. I mean, it was weird. It was weird writing about it, actually. To analyse your behaviour was quite odd. But in those days, it did actually become more about the drugs than the music. And that's very sad, because I didn't start for that. I was sober for years, and I enjoyed the music fantastically, and I lost that enjoyment, and that's what hurt the most, I think, looking back now.